growth mode and acquiring different companies. So each time you are acquiring a company, not necessarily they might be aligned with the shared services kind of model. So each time this happens, this is the change for them. So how do you drive this change? How do you face the challenge that the employees, new company employees are facing, number one? And number two, how is the time for integration of the new company change from a model where there was no shared services to a model where now you have shared services in place?
I think it dovetails into the overall integration strategy of the organization. I don't think this can be independent or isolated from the overall integration strategy of the organization. I think Schneider has been fairly successful in terms of integrating a lot of acquired companies. In fact, one of the Harvard Business Review case study cites the Schneider example for acquisitions. We are not in a hurry to integrate companies, and I think many times integrations or acquisitions have failed because the acquiring company is in a hurry to integrate the acquired company. Now, why is it that you want to kill an acquired company which has its own practices, brings its own value, and then dovetail it with your own practices? So what we do is we let the company cool down, we take some time to understand, assimilate what's the strength of the organization, and then over time we try and integrate it. Of course, it depends on the size. Maybe a 50 organization company, we can integrate it overnight, but a large organization, say like the Ariba, which we acquired 2,800 people, or APC 2,500 people, or an Invensys about 1,800 people, we take time to integrate them over a period of time. We are not in a hurry to integrate them overnight. And I think that's a lesson. As I said, you should at least have a 3-year horizon before you are in a rush to integrate these companies overnight. And then, of course, you build in your HR services strategy. The maturity levels of these companies are different, depending on the age of the organization, depending on whether they are a proprietary company, they are a multinational company, Indian company. So the HR systems, the HR policies, the HR processes, the maturity level are different, and therefore it adds to the challenges of integration and adds to the challenge of HR services also.
That's a very important part, because a prerequisite for that, most acquisitions that happen, prerequisite is, when the feasibility is done, is what's the advantage. And with these days of quarterly pressures, and also it is, show me the effect quickly. So that means there's a business patience in the culture of the organization, saying you can show us the saves, but we are patient enough to wait for 2-3 quarters before the efficiencies and saves come in. So that culture is there in Schneider.
Yeah, see, what's happened is, fortunately for us, we have not acquired any Me Too companies. We have acquired companies which are, fitting into a portfolio of products and services where we had a gap even in acquired company. So I don't have competing companies coming into it and therefore ending up with, excess manpower or excess resources, and therefore the need for me to optimize resources overnight to show some productivity and sales. To that extent, I had less pressure. But yes, I may have excess people, support functions in other areas. I may have issues in terms of consistent process and systems. For that, companies are willing to wait because it's not affecting my core reason by which I acquired, that is basically in terms of fitting my portfolio of products and services.
Ramesh, one question from my side, maybe some of the audience also thinking about this. So, I mean, as we say, we are as good as our teams are, correct? Or our team is. So, how do you manage this, HR sales service employees, aspirations? Of course, just to understand the lag, what is the attrition in your organization, which is the HR shared service organization, and if that is a problem, if it is a problem, how do we, let's say, handle? What is the strategy, for HR sales service organization to manage their aspirations in terms of, let's say, the learning and growth, particularly growth?
Yeah. My attrition was about 12% the year before and 14% last year. What I do is, as part of my KPI, as part of my country HR partners KPI, internal mobility is built dovetailed into our bonuses, into our performances. So I have to export talent from my team into the larger HR community. I have to import talent from the larger HR community into my community, and also sometimes across business. So I've acquired people from the customer care center. I said, if they are dealing with customers, if they are doing transaction activities, why not they come into the shared service organization? I've had people from my team going into finance, going into the IT organization. And then my people have become HR business partners. I've got at least 7 people in the last 3 years who have rose to become HR business partners. We did try and embark on a journey sometime back to say that we will go to the campus, hire them into the HR services, then move them into the COE, and then make them HRBP over a span of 5 years. But you know, the retention level of these campus guys these days, this horizon is hardly 2 or 3 years, they are not willing to wait for that. Everybody wants to be a strategist overnight. So we didn't really succeed in that, but at least to a large extent, because of the mobility and the opportunity in other areas, we have been able to contain our attrition.
Yeah, because this question was specific. I think it's fantastic. So you have a strategy to back up, Otherwise, what the core HR, correct, then, the recruiters have gone through will happen to the shared services as well. If you do not have the strategy to back up their aspirations, ultimately, if they started writing the services to the client, will start deteriorating, correct? Thank you.